As in the last video, this is actually 21.5-inch cut here. Get some stuff out of the way here. I have a bad habit of doing that. But this is our 21.5. We're going to sand it down 21.25. Okay, you've got many different ways you can do this. This is just showing you how with this setup and this, you can do it with a hand saw, circular saw. You can back it up against the wall. You can get your spacing. Use a straight edge to put down underneath it and go, and use it to cut all three of them at one time or whatever. But here, this is adjustable to the height. This will also let it adjust to a certain thing. So what I like to do is, I will put this saw blade or saw down, pin it in the back here, move it back like it's doing a cut basically. Slide this against my saw blade, and then I adjust all this down here, come up, hold it, and you can see how that fits right there in that, and then that end's butted up against there, so then you tighten down all this. But anyway, okay, so what I did is I set this up. I told you I had this back against the saw blade. It's down flat on the table, it's not rising up or anything. I adjusted this to the bottom of the board. This is my stop. This is how you can do it with this setup, okay? If you get shorter than what you can go there, obviously you can put a clamp on the end of your wings here, butt up there and stop, and use it for stop. That's how you can do it. Now if you need longer pieces, I can do that with longer pieces on this. But if you need longer pieces and you don't have that table, you can actually set it up on the floor. You can set it up on a table, and put a board at the end for your stop point. Put it up against the blade like that. Put your spacers that you need to bring it up to the right distance from your table that you're cutting. Put a stop there, clamp everything in place with clamps and or screws or whatever is convenient at the time, and then you can just mass produce this. In the example of this, I like using this setup because I can use it with siding. In this case, I'm making 6 of those. I've cut one. I need 5 more of them. And I can just keep moving this board up, cut them, done in just a matter of a few minutes. Work smarter, not harder. That's how you do it. So, and like I said, if you're using the hand saw, you can do the same thing. You can set up a jig on one end and butt them up against the wall, for example. Measure your distance so that way all your ends are the same. Take a square, go across it, and then use a straight edge and run your saw through them, and you can cut all pieces at one time. Or you can do something similar to this where you have a slide and you can slide it in and cut it. But anyway, we'll get to this. Quit yapping. Okay, now that we have our 6 cut, I had to get another board and at least sand part of the end of it to cut it, because 16 foot doesn't work into 21.5, especially when you chop a little off the end. But so now we have this built. This is for the top here of this table, and now we're going to do the legs. I'll show you how those are done here in a second. Okay, now like I said, I kind of took a torch and experiment with these to do some burn marks on them. I've done better, but what we got to build, and now this is all out of tree. It doesn't have to be, but I do it because they're going to be outside. And this spare lumber that I had left over. We need to build these cross pieces, so we need 2 of them, and then we need a couple of these, and then cross pieces in here and that one. Okay, now I can kind of show you how that's set up. See if I can tape measure here. We have one up here. Same principle. You know that these are going to be basically 15.5. Okay, nothing fancy on them, but you need 4 of them. So what we'll do is we'll set our saw up for 15.5. I just happen to have some lumber somewhere that's treated. Anyhow, I've got a project for this stuff back here. That's what I gotta do. I've got to build another shed. I gotta build my shed so I can clear out this whole. You see how cluster of a mess it is. Plus, all the J channel and stuff I've got back there from aluminum and all the other bull crap that needs to be gone. So anyhow, that is what we're in the process of doing. We're going to cut these legs next. There'll be 4 of them, okay? And again, like I said, you want to use deck screws to put all these together. If it's treated, if it's not treated, I would still suggest it because they don't rust, especially if it's being used outside. Now inside, you don't have to do that. You can fasten it different ways. Some people fasten from the bottom through these. I went through the top. Holds better in my opinion, and it doesn't look that bad. So anyhow, we will continue in a moment as soon as I get these set up. Okay, so I took the liberty to sand down after 4x4 that I have them out there. Give it a little bit of that rustic look. Again, I said 15.5, so we're coming to the 15.5 mark. As you can see, our speed square is set approximately the 15.5. It's hard for me to tell through this camera. So I got it set. I'll strike a line, and we'll get this saw set up similar to what you see with the other planks that we cut. They were sitting over there. So, and we need 4 of those for these legs. Again, that seems to be a comfortable height when we get done adding this on top and putting this on top. That put about the right height for if you were in a chair or something of that nature. And I suppose I'll let you all know the overall height here might be a good thing. Let's see what we can do. Pardon the camera thing here, but we're looking about just a hair over 18 inches. So about 18 inches high roughly is your finished product as you kind of want for if you're in a chair or something like that. That's about the right height for a coffee table or something of that nature. And again, we're going to mark this board with our pencil, set this up just like we had before, and we'll produce them. So anyway, okay, as a side note, you will run into this from time to time. As you can tell, as I put my saw blade down and I lock it like I did before, well, crap, I can't reach that, can I? Even if I slide it all the way in, I'm still short. How does that work? Well, here's the one thing I like about this, one of the many features. This particular setup has clamps, so you can literally take this whole saw off of here, but you can also move it down. And so that's what I'm going to do is I can't do it holding the camera, but I'm going to get these clamps, loosen it up, slide it down, and get it marked to where we're supposed to. So that's another way we can do that. Now, as you can see, we slid it down. We put our marking here. It touches the saw blade, and it touches there. And so then that works out quite well. Other thing I would suggest highly is unplug it before you do anything, just as a safety precaution. I'm kind of attached to my fingers and toes. So, okay, so we have our 4 legs here for the table, and that's these here that we have. So now the next thing we need, and I'm using this as a pattern, I had this all set up before. So now the next thing we need is, if this is going to be 3 wide, we measure it up. We want a little space at the ends, obviously. So we want to cut 2 of these at whatever length you want to leave, about a 1/4 inch gap if you got a carpenter pencil, or about a 1/4 inch that way and a 1/2 inch that way. So you want to leave about a 1/4 inch to maybe a 1/2 inch. Just depends on what your fancy is on your overhang, so that way you don't brush up against it and stuff. So you measure what your material is wide. In this case, it is hang on, let me get the tape measure. In this case, these are also 15.5 wide. Pardon my camera work here. Roughly, approximately 15.5. So the nice part is my saw is already set up for 15.5. All I need now is another 2x4 just treated. I just happen to have one. But anyway, I've got to sand it down like I did with the wide boards on these, and I sanded these down with the grinder. I haven't done any finish sanding or anything yet, but that's a rough cut on it per se. And I will get back to you on that. You've seen the process before, so I won't bore you with all that. Okay, so we have our legs, 2, 3, 4, and 2 cross members. Okay, and then 3 of these is going to be 1 table, but we're going to make 2 tables. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut the rest of these because I'm going to need 2, 4, 6 of them, which means I get to go cut up another 2 by 4. Seem to have some more out here, but anyway, but it makes very quick work of having it set up like that, because I did all that other than the sanding. Even with the sanding, it probably took me about 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most to cut all those up with that setup. And again, you can use a table saw and put a fence guard on one end and do your cross cut sled that way, or you can use a hand saw, set up a jig, run it down there. I might do a couple of them like that just for entertainment purposes, but anyway, that's what that makes it really quick to that, because like I said, I just cut this out probably in less than an hour. I've got all these sanded, took them down there. Again, this is for production. If you're not doing production, you don't have to worry about it so much, but like I said, there's sets almost a table. Now when I get done, I'm going to cut this piece here, the cross member, and then I'm going to cut these 2. So I need 4 of those and that, but right now I need 6 more at 15.5. Okay, kind of give you an idea how quickly these can be cut. If I can not cut my hand off, you'll have to excuse me for a minute while I plug some stuff in. But I've got set up down here at the end. Square my board up. This is a little hard to do. Okay, sometimes I'm going to use this as a helper, because this is a little tough by one hand here. Okay, my saw guard is a little jacked right now, but anyway, so make sure it's against our fence. Make sure we're flat. Like I said, I'm clamping it down with this because I'm doing this one-handed, and I'll show you. We're at 15.5. Okay, and I got 2, so I need 4 more. I already sanded this board down. There's at 15.5. I know this one is. I double checked it. Doesn't hurt to double check it once in a while. Now, mind you, I'm doing this one-handed, so it slowed me down just a little bit. But again, we put everything square. I cut off the end of this first before I even started, just to make sure everything's square. It's a good idea. I'm going to clamp it back down again, using my clamp. Alright, another one at 15.5. Now mind you, this is all one-handed, so I think my bag's a little full. So I loosen this back up, swing it out of the way. There's the second one. Alright, so I got 4. I need 2 more. I think I can get out of this. Slide this down. Slide it up against the fence. I'm going to take this and make it the marker. Make sure it's against the fence. Tighten it down. Keeps it straight. And again, loosen this back up. Like I said, this is just doing it one-handed. So, and now I started out with 2. I got 3, and all I need to do is cut 1 more out of my 4. That's how quickly, like I said, I'm slowed down a little bit because I'm doing this one-handed, but that's how quickly you can do this with a jig setup. Now, like I said, you don't have to have this particular setup, but if you do, it's awesome. Some people don't know how to use it. And I go slow to try to keep down. I go slow to try and keep down on the splinters on the end. Even though I'll be sanding it, just makes my life a little easier. Splinters, I mean, on here, like on the end there, but blowout, I guess you'd call it. So, all right. So there's 2, 4, 6.